Yesterday, the Supreme Court told the President of the United States that $175 billion he collected over the past year was illegal. Every single dollar. Unconstitutional. Gold exploded past $5,100 within hours. Silver jumped $7 in a single session. And Donald Trump walked into the White House briefing room, looked at the cameras, and called his own Supreme Court nominees, the justices he personally chose, fools, lapdogs, and an embarrassment to their families. Then, 2 hours later, he signed a brand new tariff, using a completely different law, as if the Supreme Court had never spoken. Now, most channels are going to tell you what the ruling said. I'm not going to waste your time with that. You can read a headline. What I am going to do in the next 14 minutes is show you 3 things that nobody else is connecting. First, the $1.4 trillion budget hole this ruling just blew open, and why it makes the gold rally almost impossible to stop. Second, why this specific rally in gold and silver is structurally different from the January crash, and what the smart money is actually doing right now. And third, 5 specific events in the next 7 days that will determine whether gold hits 5,500 or pulls back, with dates, times, and exactly what to watch for. Let me walk you through exactly how Friday unfolded, because the speed of this tells you everything about where we are headed. 10 a.m. Eastern Time. The Supreme Court publishes its opinion 6-3. Chief Justice Roberts writes that IEEPA, the emergency law Trump used to impose tariffs on nearly every country on earth, does not give the president the power to tax imports. He wrote, "These words cannot bear such weight. The law was passed in 1977. No president has ever used it for tariffs before Trump. And the court said there is a reason for that. The Constitution gives the power to tax to Congress, not the president, not even in an emergency." Think about that for a second. For the past year, every time you bought something imported, you paid a price that included a tariff that 6 Supreme Court justices just said was never legal in the first place. 11 a.m., markets move, stocks swing, the dollar drops to a 4-month low against the euro. Gold starts climbing. 12:30 p.m., Trump is meeting with governors at the White House. An aide hands him a note. He reads it, his exact words to the room. "This is a disgrace." 1 p.m., White House staff are, according to NBC News, irate. One advisor said, and I quote, "To say everyone here is irate would be an understatement." 2 p.m. Trump walks into the briefing room. And this is where it gets extraordinary. He does 3 things in the same press conference. He attacks the justices. He praises Kavanaugh's dissent, calling it genius. And then he announces a brand new 10% global tariff using Section 122 of the Trade Act of 1974, a law that has never been used for tariffs in American history. And here's the critical detail. This law expires in 150 days. After that, only Congress can extend it. Now, everything I just told you, that is the politics. What I am about to show you is the math, and the math is what will actually move gold and silver. Stay right here. Within hours of the ruling, the Tax Foundation published an analysis. One number matters. $1.4 trillion. That is how much the IEEPA tariffs were projected to generate over the next decade. Gone. Struck down. Unconstitutional. Now here is why that number should terrify anyone holding dollars and excite anyone holding gold. Congress is currently writing Trump's tax bill. The big, beautiful bill. The CBO estimates it cuts revenue by $4.7 trillion over 10 years. The plan to pay for it? Tariff revenue. $3 trillion was supposed to come from tariffs, but 75% of that tariff revenue was from IEEPA. And IEEPA is dead, so do the math with me. $4.7 trillion in cuts, minus the tariff revenue that just evaporated. That is a deficit explosion that is going to require massive borrowing. The national debt is already $38 trillion. It is about to accelerate. And what happens when the government borrows more? Bond yields go up, the dollar weakens, inflation stays sticky, and gold, the one asset with no counterparty risk, no government backing, no one who can rule it unconstitutional, gold goes higher. Here is what this means for your money. If you own gold or silver right now, you are holding the asset that just received the most powerful fundamental tailwind in years. The government lost its funding source and its legal authority on the same day. That is not a short-term trade. That is a structural shift. But wait, did you see what gold and silver actually did yesterday? The numbers are even more dramatic than you think. Let me show you. Gold, $5,130 per ounce, up $132 in a single session. For context, that is a gain of almost 3% in one day for an asset that typically moves in fractions of a percent. Silver, $84.57, up $6.94. That is an 8% daily move in silver on a single court ruling. Now I know some of you are thinking, did we not see this before? January, gold hit $55.95. Silver hit 121, and then it all crashed. Here's the difference, and it is critical. January was a speculative blow-off. Leveraged traders piled in, the CME raised margin requirements, and the whole thing unwound in 48 hours. Silver lost almost 50%. That was paper traders getting liquidated. This rally is different. This is being driven by three structural forces that do not reverse on a margin call. 1. The fiscal picture just got dramatically worse. $1.4 trillion in expected revenue is gone. 2. The dollar is weakening. It hit a 4-month low Friday, and the GDP print came in at 1.4%, half of what the market expected. 3. Inflation is reaccelerating. The PCE price index came in at 0.4% month over month. That was hotter than expected. The Fed cannot cut rates into rising inflation, but the economy is slowing. That is stagflation. And stagflation is the single most bullish environment for precious metals. Now let me give you the analyst targets that Wall Street updated this month. JP Morgan, 6,300 by year end. Wells Fargo, 6,300. Bank of America, 6,000. And those targets were set before the Supreme Court ruling. If you are a precious metals investor and this analysis matters to you, subscribe. I will cover every single one of these developments as they happen. I want to give you something no one else is giving you right now, a specific day-by-day roadmap for the next week, because 5 events are about to determine whether gold pushes toward its all-time high or pulls back first. Monday, markets reopen for the first full session post-ruling. Watch the dollar index. If it drops below 103, gold likely tests 5,200 that same day. The refund lawsuits begin in the Court of International Trade. Tuesday, State of the Union. Trump will address tariffs. He has to. If he announces aggressive new measures using Section 232 and Section 301 authorities, expect metals to spike. Listen for any language about the Fed. Kevin Warsh's confirmation hearing is coming, and any signal about monetary policy will move gold. Wednesday, NVIDIA earnings. This is the AI bellwether. If NVIDIA disappoints, tech money rotates into safe havens. Gold and silver benefit. If NVIDIA beats, risk appetite rises and metals might consolidate. Either way, watch the dollar. Thursday, the refund chaos intensifies. $175 billion in potentially illegal tariffs. Companies from Costco to small importers are already filing claims. If courts signal that refunds will happen, the deficit picture gets even worse. More borrowing, more dollar pressure, more gold. Friday, January Producer Price Index. After this week's hot PCE print, another inflation surprise would lock in the stagflation narrative. The Fed stays trapped, gold stays bid. And behind everything, Iran. 2 carrier strike groups in the Middle East, oil at its highest since August. The 10 to 15-day deadline Trump gave Iran started Thursday. If the Strait of Hormuz escalates, oil spikes, inflation accelerates, and you add a geopolitical crisis on top of a fiscal crisis, on top of a constitutional crisis, here's what this means for your money. This is not a week to be passive. These are 5 specific catalysts with dates attached. Set alerts, watch the dollar, watch yields. I want to end with something bigger than any single trade or any single event. What happened yesterday was not just a Supreme Court ruling. It was the most powerful institution in the American legal system telling the president that his signature economic policy exceeded his authority. And the president's response was to call the justices fools, claim foreign interests had corrupted the court, and sign a new tariff within 2 hours. Meanwhile, gold is at $5,130. 2 weeks ago, the president's son went on live television and called the entire banking system a Ponzi scheme. The same family is applying for a federal bank charter while $175 billion in tariff refunds hang over the Treasury. Do you see the pattern? Every week brings a new crack in the system, and every week gold moves higher. In the 1970s, America faced a similar convergence. Inflation, fiscal deficits, geopolitical conflict with oil-producing nations, an institutional crisis between the branches of government. Gold went from $35 an ounce to $850. That is a 24 times increase. Gold started this current cycle at around $1,800 in 2023. It is now at $5,100. That is a near 3 times move. If this cycle follows the 1970s pattern even partially, we have not seen the half of it yet. I'm not telling you what to do with your money, but I'm telling you what the money is doing on its own. Gold is at an all-time high. Central banks bought over 1,000 tons last year. The dollar's global reserve share has dropped from 73% in 2001 to 54% today. And the institution that was supposed to generate $1.4 trillion in revenue just got struck down by the court of last resort. Yesterday, the Supreme Court did not just kill a tariff. It confirmed what gold has been saying for 3 years. The system is under stress, and the exit door is getting crowded. This is Money in Empires. If you got value from this, hit subscribe. I will see you on the next one.